Hi, this is Dr. Bosch, and I just wanted to go through your current event article review um, and just make sure you understand what has to be done for that. Some of you have turned them in already, which is great. You've got this down, but I'll just take a few minutes to do that. So, some things to think about. You're looking for new articles, so not web pages. A lot of web pages have been up there for 10 years. You're looking for an article, and you'll know it's an article because there'll be an author and there'll be a date and there'll be some sort of source to it. So if you're only seeing a bunch of information and you don't have those kinds of things, don't pick that one. It has to be 2 pages or more because it has to be long enough that they talk about experiments maybe or a little more depth. Um, you'll know if you can't answer the questions down here, you'll know your article is too short. Has to be new meaning a month old, or if it's a journal article, up to 3 months old because they don't come out as often. And you can't just cut and paste information from the article into here. You have to actually give your opinion, summarize, do things that show that you understand the article. And so I want you to try to stay current with uh, information about the human body. It changes all the time. I want you to at least evaluate these articles for their scientific merit based on a couple of criteria. It's not hardcore scientific review, but there's some things you can look at. And then just express your opinion on this current issue. So here are the requirements. I think I mentioned most of them. It does have to be on human anatomy or physiology. So something to do with humans, their bodies, their health. So not like anything about a clinic that opened or some fossils that were found. So avoid, it may say something like COVID, but they're only talking about a program they're setting up for Maricopa. That doesn't count for this assignment. It has to be about the human body in some form. And then I need to see at least the first 3 pages of the article. So you can attach it to this form, make one PDF of both this form and that, or you can do them separately if you do this form online. And it can be from a journal, a newspaper, a magazine, or some other reputable internet source. Now, again, don't pick something that you don't know is an article. There's lots of stuff on the internet, but there are very little things that are articles. An article must be an article that is, it's got a published date and an author and things like that. So let's just go through this. The full title of the article, just write it down. If you can't find that, don't pick that article. It's probably not an article. Um, and you have to have the article, downloaded some way that I can see the article, at least the first 3 pages. And then source the article using APA style. And there is information in Canvas in the current event article review section, and also I think on week 1 that shows you what APA style is. It's basically the author's last name, the first initial, the date, and that's usually the year, the name of the article, and then the source of the article. Now the source is like the name of the magazine or newspaper. Sometimes it's a hospital. It's not the URL. That's kind of like saying you got it from the internet, but it doesn't really tell you the source. So a lot of people miss that. Don't forget to have a source. And then the page numbers. Then the date of the article, and again, 1 month old for a regular article, up to 3 months old for a journal. If it's a little longer than that, it's not that big of a deal. Then a one-sentence description of the article. So having read the whole article, in one sentence, what was it about? Kind of like coming home from the movies and saying, well, that movie was about this crazy guy lives in a swamp, and he comes out and chases around the cows. So whatever, a one sentence description. And then this is very important, a 2 paragraph summary of the entire article. And this is where I won't give you credit for just cutting and pasting. I do want you to look at the article and in 2 paragraphs, tell me what the article was about. And this is one of the bigger parts of your assignment. Then as you read the article, you'll see that they mention professors, they mention doctors, institutions, things like that, and just list them here. The first 4 you come up with. Now, if it's a journal article, you can list the most cited sources from the reference section because a journal article won't mention people's names and things like that, but it will have citations. So put the 4 sources that seem to be the most important sources for your article. It's a journal article. Then if it's from a scientific journal, write the name here. So New England Journal of Medicine, whatever it is. Or if it's not a journal article, sometimes they'll say it's based on a journal article. Still put the journal article's name right here. If there's not, put, not from a scientific journal. Some people miss this just because it's a very small space. It's just big enough to write a journal article name. And then you Google the two sources listed in 7A. So there are four. So if you Google the first one, you don't find anything, try the second one. I've had people say, I tried these two and they didn't work. So there's four of them on purpose so that you can find out more information about it. And you need at least, there's not that much room here, but you need at least a sentence or two about what you found on the internet. Then based on that, would you call it good science? In other words, does it sound like it's a reputable organization or a lab or a hospital where you can believe the information based on what you found out on the internet? So these are two different questions. Sometimes people only put one line here and they only get half credit. This is what you found on the internet. This is looking at that information and saying, is it good science? Now, this is just based on your opinion, right? So you can answer it however you want as long as you're answering that question. And then another source, so another one here. Now you might have four sources that have lots of information. You don't have to do four, you can just do two. Again, info from internet, good science or not. So be sure this is all completed. And if it's a journal article, then you'll probably be talking about, is that journal um, legitimate? And so info about the journal. There's always information about those online. And then good science, why or why not. Then these two, um, you won't be able to answer if you have a very short article. You really need an article that's long enough that really says something about the study. It may give the exact experimental technique. It will if it's a journal article. But even if it's not, they'll say, they studied 85 women over 2 years, that sort of thing. So any kind of data or procedures. Now, this isn't much room, so you don't have to write, sometimes a journal article will have 2 pages of the experiment. Just a quick summary of what were they looking at? They did this experiment on rats and they found blah blah, and any procedures or measures or data. So this is, were experimental techniques used. And then this one's related, 8B is related to 8A. 8B says, based on what you wrote up here, is this scientific? So are they, science is really based on collecting data, testing hypotheses, using evidence. Are they doing that? Does it seem scientific? Now, it might not. That's okay. A lot of articles aren't. You can say, no, really wasn't a scientific article. They were just describing something they saw or something like that. But I want you to say that. And don't leave either one of these blank. If you leave them blank, I'll just give you 0 because you skipped it. So if you don't really see any experimental techniques, put, I did not see any experimental techniques. I didn't see any procedures. They didn't talk about statistics or measures. That there's none of that was in there. And just write that. And same here, that you will either answer the question or say, there was no information that let me evaluate this. And then lastly, your opinion. And this isn't repeating what you put in your summary or something. This is your opinion. What do you think and why? Maybe how it makes you feel, what it makes you think, what you'd like to know more about, whether it was easy to read or hard to read. And I put a minimum of 4 sentences only because when I first started doing this, students would put, I liked it, and that was done. So I really want more than that. So a little deeper um, right there. Okay. So those are it's not too hard, and I think you have one due this week. So work, don't wait till last minute, and of course, ask me questions if you're stuck. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about finding articles. Some of you are very good at this already, but in case you're not, I just want to give you some clues. And in your, both in the area in Canvas that's called Current Event Article Review, and in, I think, week 1, you'll see an article that says Finding Articles Using SMCC Library Online. And so I'll show you how to do that. And so this is the instructions. Go to library website. Um, you go to South Mountain, go to library, which is on the bottom left. Then you go to databases. Then you can click H, which is Health Source Consumer Editions. These are kind of easy to read articles. And then put the search words. But you got to make sure you put a year and a month, because it can't be more than 2 months old or 1 month old, either way. Click the box full text. and then look at the length of the article. It has to be at least 2 pages. So and look at the title, choose a good one. And you can see that they will give you, if you click on citation, it'll give you an approximate APA citation. On the right side, it's check for errors. A lot of times there are, like everything's in capital, things like that are not correct. And then if you use Healthsource Nursing Academy Edition, that has journal articles. So they're kind of difficult to read sometimes, but very interesting. And just a reminder, you'll be looking for articles for your presentation as well. And you can use older ones for that. But for the current event article review, you need new ones, at least 1 or 2 months old. So, okay, so I'm going to follow these instructions. I'll get this out of the way. Here I am on South Mountain's website. I'll go to library. Now it may make you um, log in for this. So here are library um, resources, find articles. Um, they change this just a little bit. Student resources. Okay, here it is. Under student resources, list of academic databases. So here I am on the library. I'm going all the way down to here. Student resources, list of academic databases. They change this thing all the time. But anyway, this will work. And then, like I say, go to H because that will give you Health Source Consumer Edition. This is kind of easier articles to read. These are journals, but you can pick either one. I like this because you want to be able to read these things. So I click on there, and then you have to put in kind of a general term. You can't and try a bunch of them. There may be nothing because only a month. I'll just put in insulin because we're looking at that in our first unit. Um, And then before you go looking for articles, you want to limit this. You don't want it to be just a summary, so you need a full text. Make sure you got that. And then the timing. So you want to have this be fairly recent. So from publication date, let's do 2021 to 2021. Now, usually it gives you um, the actual month to do that, but this will give us at least some more recent ones. Okay, and then you hit search, and you can look at the kinds of articles. Now, some are only one page. You can skip all of those because we don't want that. Um, let's see if there's a good one here. Okay, insulin didn't really yield very good articles, but so I changed it to diabetes. And if you look at the article, you can see what the title is and then how many pages. So this one's 5 pages, that would be okay. Then telemedicine, that sounds more like not about the human body. So we don't want that one. You don't want something like that. 5 myths about sugar, that might be okay. But just make sure it's about the human body. Sometimes these are not really about the human body, they're about something else. But this looks good. Let's try repurpose remedy. We go to PDF full text. And this is from the published date is June 5th. So it's very, very new. And you can either look at it as a PDF or an HTML. You can make this larger, of course, to read it. You can read through, and that looks like a pretty good article. And then on the citation, it's over on the side here. Let's see. There it is for cite. And it does give you the APA reference. And this is pretty good because last name, first initials, year, the name of the article, where it's from, and then even the page number. So this doesn't even have to be changed. That's perfect. And you'll put that down on question number 3 on the current event article review. Now, if you don't like this article, it's just really quick to go back and try a different one and pick one that you like. So this shouldn't take you more than about 5 minutes. But again, make sure that it's about the human body. So something about treated mosquito nets, that's no good. This doesn't sound like it's about the human body. Um, Let's see if I misspelled sugar. That might